What's up guys, it's Break Shift, and I've got another off-meta deck to share with y'all today. This time we're looking at Evil Eye. So before we talk about the deck, why might you want to play this archetype? There's a couple reasons. First off, this deck is really good into Maxi and Fulos, so if you're getting frustrated by those cards a lot, this could be a nice strategy to avoid that kind of stuff. It's a really low commitment deck. Pretty much the only deck out there that's lower commitment is something like Stun. It's really cheap in terms of dust. You just need a couple URs, and pretty much everything else is SR or lower, or just staple cards, of course. And lastly, it's a control type deck, which I really like a lot. So if that kind of stuff is interesting to you, then consider this deck. What does this deck actually do? Well, essentially you're trying to normal summon out a guy who will turn into a pseudo towers. He comes bundled with removal, and then you can just trade favorably into your opponent's cards with some of your other engine, with generic back row, and with the fact that a lot of their cards are just kind of dead in the hand. A lot of their hand traps don't really do much against you. So, very typical control game plan. How do we establish our towers? Well, this is the guy, Surzeal. And when this card is normal summoned, you can add one Evil Eye card from your deck to your hand, except for himself. So very nice, strong searching effect on him. If he's equipped with Evil Eye of Selene, he gains a quick effect. Target a special summoned monster your opponent controls, destroy it. Do keep in mind that it's special summoned monsters only. And then also, during the standby phase, after this effect was activated, you have to destroy one card you control. This is a mandatory effect. Keep that in mind. So let's read the Evil Eye of Selene that he wants to be equipped with. Here it is. Equip only to an Evil Eye. It cannot be destroyed by battle or your opponent's card effects. Also, your opponent cannot target it with card effects. So this is where the pseudo-tower status of Surzeal comes from, being untargetable, undestructible, and of course not even being destroyable by battle is pretty nice. Makes him pretty hard to out. It's actually even slightly stronger than something like an Avramax made with IP in that regard. Each time you activate the equipped monster's effect, or you activate another Evil Eye spell or trap card, this is also mandatory, the equipped monster gains 500 attack, permanent boost, and if it does, you lose 500 life points. The attack remains even if this card leaves the field. Then also, if this card is in your graveyard, you can pay 1,000, banish an Evil Eye spell or trap from your graveyard except Selene, set this card. Okay, so that's pretty nice, right? This guy gets all those effects if he's equipped with Selene, and he can just search the Selene himself. Not too bad. What other kind of stuff can we do with this deck? Well, we have one alternate search target off Surzeal, which is this card here, Evil Eye Defeat. If you control an Evil Eye monster, target one monster on the field, or up to 2 instead if you have Evil Eye of Selene in your spell and trap zone, return them to the hand. Alright, that's pretty nice too. We've got a double compulse, powerful, and through a little combo that I will go over in a moment, you'll also be able to summon out 2 level 3 Fiend monsters as a part of your normal main line. And with those guys, you'll be able to do a couple things. You can either make number 3 Cicada King. This is generic rank 3 that has a negate for an on-field monster effect. Not bad. Or you can do a much more fun and interesting option, which is make Stone King Darius. He requires Fiend types. And then we don't actually care about his effect. We're just going to rank him up into Machinax. If you're not familiar with this card, he's really neat. You can XC summon him by using a DDD monster you control as material, transfer its materials, and once per chain, if a monster card your opponent controls activates its effect, you can detach 2 materials from this card or destroy a Dark Contract, but we won't be doing that. And if you do, attach that opponent's card to this as material. Very neat card. Since you'll be making him using an Xyz monster that already has 2 materials, he will have 3 materials. And then when you detach 2, you'll be attaching another card, so he'll go from 3 materials to 2 materials, meaning you can use this attach effect twice. Very strong form of removal, keeps their cards out of the graveyard. Underneath your own Xyz monster, it's pretty much completely inaccessible to them. So let's talk what that combo is real quick. The most basic line is going to start with this card, Evil Eyes Unleashed. This is one of the most ridiculous, like, custom card level support cards I've ever seen. This thing is insane. It is a Foolish Burial and a Foolish Burial Goods for cost, while also searching some of your other key cards as the actual effect. Just ridiculous. I would say it feels insane to resolve this card, but you don't even need to resolve it. They can Ash this thing and it's still insane. So what it says specifically, send 1 Evil Eye monster and 1 Evil Eye spell or trap from your deck to the graveyard, semicolon. That is all cost. Then the actual effect, add 1 Evil Eye equip spell from your deck to your hand. For the rest of this turn, each time you activate a non-Evil Eye card or effect, you lose 500 life points. We do not care about this downside, and it can actually even help us. Then it also, by the way, has another good effect, because it wasn't good enough already. If you link summon an Evil Eye Link monster, you can banish this card from your graveyard, equip 1 Evil Eye equip spell from your graveyard to 1 Evil Eye Link monster you control. You can only use each effect once per turn. We'll talk more about those Link monsters later, but this is like your best combo starter, and of course you can search it with Surzeal. If you just normal summon Surzeal, you can get to Unleashed. And also, by the way, we have this field spell, which is like a Rhoda when you activate it. We'll talk about it more in detail later, but it can grab you Surzeal, who can grab you Unleashed. So you've got a lot of ways to get into this combo line. What are we doing when we resolve Unleashed? We're going to be sending this card as our monster, Basiltris, and we're going to be sending this as our spell, Gorgoneo. So what Basiltris does is, if you control an Evil Eye monster and this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can special summon him as a quick effect, but banish him when he leaves the field. So this is going to be one of the cards we will use to summon that rank 3 monster. But if we don't want to do that, he also has another neat effect. During the opponent's turn, you can quick effect, link summon an Evil Eye Link monster, using monsters you control as material, and you can also use Evil Eye equip spells you control as if they were Evil Eye monsters. Very cool effect, very interesting. We will talk about that more when we get to the extra deck, but since we'll be dumping him to the graveyard, and of course we'll get to Surzeal later in the combo, this is just going to be a free level 3 body out of the graveyard when we want it. And because it is a quick effect, if the opponent tries to do something like remove it with a Bestial, you can just chain him and slide on out of the graveyard, kind of like Fairy Tale Snow. Do note, of course, though, that his effects are actually once per turn, but still a very good card. And of course, if you aren't aware, when you make an Xyz monster with a card like this, it says, banish it when it leaves the field. Once he becomes Xyz material, this banishing thing kind of stops applying. After you detach, he will go back to the graveyard, and then you can summon him back out again. So, as for the spell that we're sending Gorgoneo. This is the other equip spell of the deck. We'll give it a quick read. Equip only to an Evil Eye monster. You can only have 1 Gorgoneo, or you can only activate 1 Gorgoneo per turn. Its name becomes Evil Eye of Selene, so everything that requires Selene to be equipped will work with Gorgoneo as well. While your life points are lower than your opponent's, the equipped monster gains attack equal to the difference. So that's part of why I was saying that the minus 500 repeatedly from activating Unleashed might actually be a good thing. You can get your life points nice and low, and then your equipped monster is going to be enormous. This thing can give so much attack. But the effect that we mostly care about is actually the other one down here. You can banish this card from your graveyard and discard 1 Evil Eye card, add an Evil Eye spell or trap from your deck to your hand, except itself. And then, of course, for the actual searching effect of Unleashed, when we add 1 Evil Eye equip spell, we're going to be adding regular old Selene there. So after you activate this, you've got Basiltris in the graveyard, Gorgoneo in the graveyard, and Selene in your hand. You'll use the graveyard effect of Gorgoneo, and the card that we discard will be the Selene from our hand. Then we can search the field spell if we started with Unleashed. If you started with Surzeal, then instead we'll be searching Evil Eye Awakening. Otherwise, Surzeal himself then can add the Evil Eye Awakening if you started with the Unleashed, right? So when we discard the Selene, now that it's in the graveyard, we'll be able to activate the blast effect here, pay 1,000, set it. So at this point, we've got the Selene on the field, and then we've got Pareidolia, the field spell, to add our Surzeal, or we already summoned Surzeal, and we've got the Evil Eye Awakening. you'll end up with all of these cards in rotation, no matter how you started. As for what Awakening does, it's a normal spell that says special summon an Evil Eye monster from your hand or graveyard, or if Selene is in your spell and trap zone, you can special summon an Evil Eye monster from your deck. So of course, we're going to equip the Selene that we set onto the field with its own effect to our Surzeal. Then we'll be able to use Awakening to summon from the deck. We'll summon the other level 3 guy here, Basilius. This card has an on-field effect that says you can send an Evil Eye spell or trap from your deck to the graveyard. That's sort of relevant, because when we use Selene, we have to banish an Evil Eye spell or trap from the graveyard to set it. So of course we're just banishing Unleashed, and this card does have that graveyard effect, which we sort of care about, so we can just dump an extra copy with Basilius, why not? Basilius, by the way, also can special summon himself from the hand if you control an Evil Eye monster. So this is a decent card to draw. It can let you make plays even if you don't open with the ideal starters. And it's an inherent summon, so you can sneak it in under Maxi and stuff sometimes. Pretty neat. So at that point, we've got our 2/3s. We can either do the DDD line, or we can make a Cicada King, or whatever else we feel like. We've got, other generic stuff too. And of course, if we ever already drew one of the search targets, then we can do something like add Evil Eye Defeat off of Surzeal. So you'll be ending on a rank 3 of your choice, either Machinex or Cicada King. You've got Surzeal equipped with Evil Eye of Selene, so he's untargetable, undestructible, and he has a quick effect pop. And you'll also maybe have the Evil Eye Defeat for a double compulse set in the back row. That is pretty strong for a simple one-card combo, and it doesn't take up too much space in the deck. So we have lots of room for stuff like hand traps. We can play things like the Fiendsmith engine, and I'm also choosing to play Solemn Judgment. This is perhaps inadvisable. You should probably just be playing more hand traps, maybe Bestial, something like that. But I like this card a lot, and it does a few important things for the deck. Now, as annoying as it is to actually get rid of the Surzeal while he's equipped with Selene, Selene itself doesn't really have much in the way of protection. There's another guy that we could be playing that gives protection to your Selene. This guy, Katobopass, but we're not on him because he's kind of bad. So, realistically, if they are targeting our Selene, we might be in a bit of trouble. So, Solemn Judgment protects our Selene, and of course, because it's paying life points, that'll make our Gorgoneo equip give you a whole crap ton of attack. So, that can be pretty nice. It can enable you to make a quick lethal push, whereas this deck might otherwise be grinding pretty hardcore. So, we appreciate the chance to accelerate a bit. And aside from that, of course, we've got our called buys, and then we are playing one copy of Foolish Burial Goods. The biggest issue of the Evil Eye deck is that, while it's nice to have 9 starters, that's actually not a huge amount by modern standards, so we would like to try and fit in any other ways to get off the ground if possible. Foolish Burial Goods can dump a Gorgoneo, which can theoretically get you into plays. So I do think it's worth running. The Fiendsmith engine as well doesn't have super explicit synergies with the Evil Eye stuff, even though they're fiends, they're dark fiends, and all of the Fiendsmith stuff requires light fiends. So it's just in here as a good generic engine. Before we move into the extra deck, there is one last thing to talk about in a bit more detail, which is the field spell. Besides the fact that it just adds an Evil Eye monster when activated, it has this other neat effect. Once per turn during damage calc, if your Evil Eye is attacked, while Selene is in your spell and trap zone, you can make the battle damage that you take also inflicted to your opponent. It's not super relevant, but, it's something. It's kind of nice. And then also, if this card in the field zone is destroyed by card effect, you can target an Evil Eye monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. That's kind of nice. It doesn't care who destroyed this card, and don't forget, Surzeal has this mandatory standby phase after he pops something, where he destroys a card you control. So by default, the field spell is almost always the best thing to be destroying. Not only do we not really care about leaving it up, but it also gets this nice little recursion effect if we do pop it. But let's talk about the Evil Eye Extra Deck cards a bit more now. These are not the primary game plan, but they are nice to have and they do come up. There's two of them. First we have this Link 2 Gorgon, Empress of the Evil Eyed. This card is actually not crucial. You won't really summon it very often, but it does come up sometimes. Any two monsters, including an Evil Eye. She gains 100 attack for each Evil Eye card with a different name in your graveyard. If she's equipped with Evil Eye of Selene, then as a quick effect, you can target one effect monster your opponent controls and negate it. That's pretty nice. And then, during the standby phase after this effect was activated, you have to destroy one monster this card points to. So, ideally, of course, you could make her point to an opponent's monster. That's probably not going to happen, so just don't leave your own guys underneath her, or else you'll have to pop your own cards. She's quite niche, but the other one here, Zerziel, this guy's actually pretty decent, and you might actually summon him a reasonable amount of the time. He's a Link 3, he requires 2 or more Evil Eye monsters. If he was Link summoned using a monster with 2600 or higher attack as material, then you can make a second attack during each battle phase. So that means that Zerziel, since he starts at 16, if he's equipped with Evil Eye of Selene, he's gaining 500 attack point boosts, so you would want to have boosted him twice. And keep in mind, of course, that not only are you boosting whenever you activate another Evil Eye spell or trap, and when you activate his popping effect, those will both boost him, but also this standby phase effect is an activated effect. So if you pop something on their turn and they pass back to you, his effect will activate to pop one of your cards, and that will give him another boost. So it's actually not that hard to boost him up to 26 and get the extra attack on this thing. If this guy is equipped with Evil Eye of Selene, quick effect, target one card your opponent controls, destroy it. So a nice upgrade to Zerziel. We can target any card instead of just a special summoned monster. And then the drawback that Zerziel has is replaced with, during the standby phase after effect was activated, negate the effect of one effect monster this card currently points to. Pretty decent. That's non-targeting as well, by the way. So, not bad. It's a permanent non-targeting effect negation that can come up. And because he can attack twice, he can end up being a really powerful OTK enabler. You can be boosting him with Gorgoneo, you can be boosting him with Evil Eye of Selene, all that good stuff. So this is where that on-field effect of Basilisk comes up. If you want to, instead of making a rank 3, you can leave the Basilius and Basilisk on the field. Your Zerziel will be equipped with a Selene if you've done the normal play, and then on the opponent's turn, you can quick effect to maybe dodge removal or something, and you link off, including the Evil Eye of Selene, you throw down Zerziel. Of course, if you're quick effect link summoning on the opponent's turn, that means that you won't have a chance to be equipping Evil Eye of Selene. That's where the graveyard effect of Unleashed comes up, because if you link summon, you can banish this from the graveyard to equip that Evil Eye spell from your graveyard. So you use it on the field as link material, and then Unleashed will just re-equip it immediately to make sure that he has that protection effect, to make sure that he has his pop effect live. Pretty decent. This is also a nice little trick where if you don't have something to pop, or you don't want to pop one of your own cards with the Zerziel effect, then you can just link him off before the turn passes back to you, and make yourself a Zerziel and just dodge that downside. This also comes up sometimes where you can pay down pretty low, and because the life point paying is mandatory, you do need to be a little careful that you don't end up killing yourself. So you can dodge that as well by using the quick link. As for the rest of the extra deck, we're playing, of course, all the Fiendsmith stuff. I'm recording this the day that Necroquip Princess came out, so I don't own one yet, but you, of course, want to play this so that you have a one-card line with the Fiendsmith stuff. Of course, we're playing Zeus. Why not? We've got a few Xyz monsters, and the rest of the stuff here is just some generic good stuff, nothing really to write home about. But that is the deck. It's a very malleable list. You could change it up in a variety of ways if you want outside of the Evil Eye core. There's also some other fun options within the archetype that you could play if you wanted to. They have a counter trap. I'm choosing not to play this because it only stops spell or trap cards. It doesn't stop monsters at all. So this can be a decent way to try and protect your Evil Eye of Selene, but in most cases, I think that you would rather grab the defeat, since your primary means of removal, of course, is destruction, by popping cards with Surzeal or with Zerziel, or just by battle. So it's really nice to be able to have a searchable form of removal that is not destruction, and that can deal with monsters. So I choose defeat over retribution, but if you wanted to, you could play retribution. And they also have this funny little card, Mesmerism. Continuous trap. When your opponent special summons a monster, you activate the card by targeting one of those summoned monsters in attack position with less attack than an Evil Eye you control, and then you get to steal it. It also is treated as an Evil Eye monster. Pretty fun, quick effect, stealing your opponent's cards, always a neat little thing to do. But because of all of the restrictions that you have here, you have to target it, it has to be in attack position, it has to have less attack than an Evil Eye. Probably not worth running, but it is cool. So if you felt like it, you could toss some of those cards in if you wanted to play a more pure build, if you aren't interested in stuff like Fiendsmith. But with all that being said, let's hop into just a couple of replays I've got here for you so you can see the deck in action. These were all in Platinum. There's only 2 of them, and they were both against Kashtira. For some reason, I was just facing endless Kashtira while I was gathering replays for this. But they show 2 very different ways that the deck might operate. So here I lost the coin toss. Of course, I opened with Max C, but the opponent has the Ash Blossom, so not going to resolve. That being said, the rest of my hand actually looks really good. I've got my super powerful 1-card combo with Unleashed, and I've got 2 hand traps, so I'm feeling pretty okay. Especially now that I see he's on Kashtira, Valor, and Imperm, really good against the Kashtira monsters. So we'll go ahead and Valor the Unicorn. Don't even want to deal with any of that. Using the Valor before the Imperm because Imperm is more flexible, and if he summons other Kashtira monsters, since Imperm's a trap card, it won't trigger their effects. He's got the Rise Heart in hand, so he slaps that down, and he's just going to go into Shangri-Ira. So this will be what we're planning to hit with our Impermanence now when the turn passes back to us. And that's exactly what we'll do. Go ahead and drop the Impermanence, turn off that Shangri-Ira, and he's going to Max C me. But remember, that's one of the big strengths of this deck. I don't really care. Maybe I don't want to do the rank 3 line now, but I don't need to do that line. It's totally fine. I can just normal summon Surzeal and chill with that. So we go ahead and dump Gorgoneo and Basiltris. We add Selene. Just going to do everything relatively normal for the moment. Grab our field spell. Selene, Banish Unleashed to set itself. Activate the field spell. This will add Surzeal. Throw him down. And now we'll just grab Defeat instead of Awakening, because we don't want a special summon. Equip him with Selene, set 3, pass. And then as soon as his turn starts, before he gets that standby effect, we'll use Defeat to bounce the Shangri-Ira. So he's got to play through an untargetable, undestructible Surzeal that can pop his cards in 2 judgments. Not going to happen. He's totally screwed. So a great example of this deck's ability to make powerful plays while going really low to the ground. Super low commitment, no special summoning required. Definitely a really nice element of this deck. So here is a completely different duel. This time I won the coin toss, going first, and my hand is garbage. This is the deck's biggest downfall, is just, 9 starters is sort of not that much in this day and age. Now, because I have tracked, this would actually at least give me, like, a Caesar or a Desiree, but this duel was recorded before Necroquip was released, so I do not have that option. But, I'd rather set up my graveyard, thin out the deck a little bit, and have just a dude, if nothing else. So, of course, if Necroquip was here, we can just, send him off for her, and we're off to the races. But as is, we're just going to pass with some back row and use Max C. Opponent immediately going to Book of Eclipse us. Throw down Tearlament's Kashtira. And I'm just going to Valor it, try to stop him relatively quickly here. We've drawn Foolish Goods, so any Evil Eye card that we draw now is going to let us do a little bit of combo at this point, so I don't mind if you were to pass turn there. But he doesn't. He has Theosis, so we'll get a few more draws. Pareidolia, very good draw. We'll negate the Unicorn if we can here. We don't want him to get to Birth. And that'll go through. Very nice. Gonna go ahead and overlay for a Shangri-Ira. I'm gonna Judgment that. I don't have anything to deal with the Shangri-Ira standby phase effect, and I do not want to have to handle a Fenrir. Throws down Rise Heart. He's going to bust out the Gold Sark as well, banishing Theosis to use the Banish effect to add Birth that he banished with the Rise Heart. Activate the Birth. Now we can bring back the Unicorn. Gets to rip my extra deck. He takes out the Desiree. I don't really care. As we mentioned, of course, the extra deck is actually not all that important. Something like Zerziel would probably have been the best rip, but it doesn't matter all that much. He makes another Shangri-Ira, and he's going to pass, but we drew into a Called By, so we can actually Called By the other Shangri-Ira. Very funny. Go ahead and get rid of that. And you can see our life points have gotten really quite low. He does get to banish my graveyard with the Birth, which, it hurts a little bit to lose the Fiendsmith stuff. Would have been a nice way to out the Shangri-Ira, but we're fine. We'll just go ahead and do our standard play here, starting with the Zerziel normal summon. We'll bring out the Basiltris. Gorgoneo getting rid of the Awakening. We really don't need that, because we can just add the other monster with Pareidolia. I equip with Selene first, so that when I activate my other spells, I'll get the boosts. I want this guy to get big. Dump that extra copy of Unleashed. And we'll go ahead and overlay into the Stone King Darius. Now, one thing that's a little annoying here is that I actually can't conveniently out the Shangri-Ira, but since Called By lasts for 2 turns, he won't be able to use it on his next turn anyway, so I'm fine just setting up this small board here and passing. He doesn't even try to activate Shangri-Ira. He's going to bring out the Tier Cash, and we'll go ahead and suck her up with the Deus Machinex. Keep her out of the graveyard, why not? He mills some random cards, nothing useful. I'm going to bring down the Scareclaw Kashtira, and I would rather just not let him have any monsters on the board if possible, so we'll pop that with Zerziel. He can add back Preparations, but that's probably not going to do him any good. He'll banish some stuff from my graveyard again. I can at least tag the Basiltris in here, so we can dodge that banish. Now, obviously here he's going for a Zeus line. I don't want to contend with that, so we'll just use Defeat, get rid of it before he can leave the battle phase. We're getting another boost. Our Zerziel has become very big, 3,100. So why don't I just go ahead and link it off now so that I can dodge the self-popping effect, and so that I don't have to pay anymore. So we'll bring out the Zerziel, activate another copy of the field spell, throw down our Zerziel, grab Gorgoneo. Our life points are so low. Immediately Zerziel's up to 7,600. And Preparations, not gonna matter. I can destroy any card. So we take out the Preparations, and it's an enormous one-shot there. So a nice little duel there, showing off some of the more involved plays that you can make if you don't need to be worried about Max C or something like that. That's the deck. It's a lot of fun if you like control-type decks. It's definitely Platinum, probably Diamond material. Masters, maybe, if you wanted to grind super hard. Or if you wanted to tech it out to be a little bit more meta. But definitely give it a try if you liked what I showed you all here. Leave some comments, let me know what you guys think of it, if you play it, how it goes for you, and I'll be back with some more decks later. Peace.